big breaking cut news out of NRG.
Boom, 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 boom.
This may be why Lovey is going to have to announce who his starter is, or maybe he doesn't even have to announce it now at running back. The Texans have cut Marlon Mack. There's something that was very peculiar to me throughout this entire camp, and I had mentioned it to Jeremy and Brendan about the fact that he wasn't getting a lot of carries, and that they said even in practice that he wasn't getting a lot of carries, that Pierce was getting a lot of carries, Burkhead was getting carries, but Mack wasn't getting a whole lot of carries. And then the other thing that we pointed out after the third preseason game was that he was still, you and I were talking about that, he was still in the game in the fourth quarter during basically mop-up time. Well, the only thing I could think of is they've got their eye on another running back, and I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but Miami let Sony Michel go, and you know that Sony Michel once upon a time played a role for the Patriots.
I know Sony Michel's not on the Patriots anymore because he can't stop putting the football in the carpet.
Doesn't matter, Pat. When he played and was a significant contributor for the Patriots, and we are still in Patriot South type mode, there is a chance. You say there's a chance, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the guys they're looking at.
I think it's a awful. I would rather have Marlon Mack than Sony Michel. I would rather have Marlon Mack than Royce Freeman. I'd rather have Marlon Mack than Rex Burkhead. Rex Burkhead should never be getting carries. Rex Burkhead is a pass catcher out of the backfield. Yep. Maybe you can line him up in the slot sometimes. Rex Burkhead should never, ever get carries out of the backfield. You want to know why the Texans offense, which marched through the 49ers like a hot knife through butter, opening drive of that preseason game, and then couldn't get out of their own way? They went from Dameon Pierce to Rex Burkhead as the primary ball carrier. In fact, they ran Rex Burkhead 8 of 9 plays. Guess how many first downs they had in that group?
Did you think at any time that Mack was not in shape?
No.
I didn't either. So I don't think it's medical. I got to believe some other team is still going to take a look at him.
And he ran well against San Francisco. He ran well. He had a big run that he busted off thanks to Kenyon Green. He had a big run.
24, 25 yards.
Rex Burkhead doesn't have any big runs. 3 yards, big run for Rex Burkhead.
I'll tell you what. I mean, unfortunately, he just got snapped up by the Ravens. But Kenyon Drake was a guy that I would look at to be a guy, if you're not going to keep Mack, that's still probably got some stuff left in the tank that could be a guy that could contribute for you, but he's already off the waiver wire, and the Ravens at thin at running back picked him up. But it's puzzling to me. Hopefully someone's going to talk about it at some point. It's one thing to say that Pierce was going to be your starter. Maybe Mack had a problem with that. I don't know. Hey guys, back to the video in just 1 minute. Before that, I want to tell you about Fitz Roofing. If you got a leaky roof or need a full roof replacement on your business or your home, or you want to get something done around the yard or maybe something around the house, they have the best warranties in the business, the best ratings, and the best service. They're going to take care of you every step of the way. Fitz Roofing, making a difference, one home at a time.
On cutdown day, there are always some guys who wind up getting cut that are a little bit of surprise or a little unexpected. And say, okay, well, are any of these guys people that you might want to see the Texans take a flyer on? And the first one that happened came in about 3 hours ago or so. The Tampa Bay Bucs were waiving Tyler Johnson. And Tyler Johnson, everybody who covers the team said, look, that is a surprise. He's a young receiver who has shown ability and shown talent. But the Bucs receiver room is so deep.
Yeah, once they added Julio Jones to the already veteran-laden room, it was going to be tough for any younger player to try and crack through that. So you kind of saw the writing on the wall, or he should have, right?
And he had a very good camp. But the point is, when you get past those top 4 guys, you've got to be a special teamer. And he's not really a special teamer. But for a team like the Texans, well, he might walk in and be the number 3 guy in 10 minutes. I'd absolutely be in on Tyler Johnson. And as a third-year player, he's not making any money. So you can grab
and on a team where he just wants to probably show that he can play and get some run. And you know that on a young team like the Texans, especially with the unfortunate Mechie situation, you know that there's an opening there, and they should be looking at a third receiver. I said all along, the other guy, the position group that I said they should be focused on is tight end, because I'm not impressed with any of the tight ends they have, and no one has impressed me enough to where I don't think that they don't need depth at the tight end position, and they might not be able to find someone better. Then O.J. Howard gets cut, and I'm like, well, boom, right there. There's another guy. Big-time talent coming out of college at Alabama. I mean, a guy that's underachieved in the NFL. Why not?
He certainly can't be considered worse than the guys that you have. There are guys on a team that have little to no experience at all. So I wouldn't have a problem with going and looking and getting a look and seeing, all right, let's see if this guy can kind of resurrect himself. I mean, he was a highly touted guy coming out of college. So maybe that's somebody that they can, with a new system and, maybe the pressure of playing on a playoff team, well, that's off of you. Now it's just, hey, go out there, give us everything you got. And hey, maybe you can show that you have a chance to redo this, get another contract next year or whatnot. But I take a shot on O.J. Howard.
Absolutely. I said, my big focus was going to be what veteran or somewhat young veteran tight end would be sent packing today by a team where the Texans could swoop in and say, we just got better in our tight end room today because we have to. And he's the first name that I saw on the list of tight ends that were being released that I said, still young enough, very, very highly touted coming out. Maybe he was in the wrong situation before. Maybe this is the right situation for now. Maybe it's a win-win. Take a look, kick the tires.
So a lot of teams have made a significant amount of cuts that have gone out, and we've seen some familiar names that have been let go. And look, Denzel Mims is a guy who we're all kind of watching to see if the Jets are going to let him go, if Carolina's going to trade for him. Obviously, he played in college under Matt Rule at Baylor, so I think Denzel Mims is another guy that if he gets released, the Texans should be all
completely
over him.
I know that because his college coach, Matt Rule, is in Carolina, that would be an ideal spot for him. But they went out and traded for a receiver yesterday. So maybe that solidifies their receiver room enough that they're not going to be looking like they were a day ago. And again, another young guy that makes your roster better. For all they've done in the draft to make this roster a hell of a lot better than it was last year, and we've seen that all through camp and through the preseason, there's still opportunities for this team to get better before they even play a game in the regular season. And these are the kind of moves they should consider. I mean, I heard John and Lance talking this morning and Lance said maybe two guys that they might add to the roster that were on other teams' camp rosters. I think it's more like five. I think I could see up to five guys, especially if Nick Caserio knows for the long term they make us better, and in a very short period of time they could make us better than what we have on this roster. And I think we've already identified three of them.
If Steve Slayton, not Steve Slayton,
Darius
Slayton,
I was like, how back are we going in the time machine?
If Darius Slayton gets released by the Giants, they should be all over him.
I saw you say that yesterday on Twitter.
I mean, he's been like their best receiver. Granted, they've been injury riddled, but he's been their best receiver the last 2 years. He can go get deep, and he won't cost other than the minimum. I mean, if Darius Slayton's available, why he would even be available? I mean, why the Giants would be handing away a receiver when they're keeping a guy like Shepard, who's never freaking healthy. But if he's available, if they wind up cutting him, that's another guy all over Darius Slayton.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I you know what, and I'm not saying, this is not to say that it's taking away from any of the abilities of the people within the four walls at NRG. This is to say that, hey, as you better this roster, you could ruffle some feathers and hurt some feelings along the way, possibly, but there's nothing that precludes you from saying, you know what, we can make this team even a little better before we play the Colts, and we can get a couple players that obviously play positions in position groups where we need to get better, like tight end. Go get them.